There you are. The audience stayed with us. Rick Farron here at the Six Screens control panel. We've got another program coming up for you tonight. You know them. There's some of your favorite apostates. Well, the two of your favorite apostates, Fran and Joe Garino. My goodness, they made that worldwide trip going back a few months ago. At least say the countrywide trip. But they're on with us tonight, and they got a program, The Outside Story, right here on the Six Screens. So we're going to bring them on. We're looking forward to their program. So let me bring them on the stream right now and see what Fran and Joe are up to tonight. Hello, Fran and Joe.
Hello, everyone.
So anyways, we're looking forward to you guys coming on. Anything in particular you want to discuss tonight?
School.
School?
Yeah, school.
Yeah, I know the kids are going back to school, but I mean,
no, this is everyone's favorite infamous subject, school. Something that.
Well, I mean, I remember the ministry school. Does it have anything to do with anything?
Yeah. Well, I never enjoyed school too much, but there was something I did enjoy, and that was graduating.
Always good to graduate. Well, yeah. I'm going to step out. I think you got my curiosity up, so I'm going to step out. You guys can do this. I'm here if you need me.
Okay.
So
thank you.
Go ahead. Let me just put you in solo layout here. So there you are. Yes.
Okay. Well, we're here.
Yes.
Are we here?
Hi, everyone. Good to see you all.
Yes. And I told Rick that one of the subjects was school. And every one of us in one way or another has experienced school. And be it kindergarten, grade school, high school, and maybe beyond for some, not for everyone, it doesn't matter. But there's something common to every bit of the different schooling that I went to. And how about you, Fran?
Every bit that I went to, too.
There's something common to that.
Yes.
And something was common to every bit of the schooling that I went to, and probably to almost every one of the schools that you went to. Almost every one of the schools. And that what was common was something called graduation. We knew that grade school would go up to grade 8, and then we'd graduate. And then if we went to high school, which we may or may not have, we knew there would be 4 years in this country, and then we would graduate. And then if we perchance went on more, there would be a period of time, and we would
graduate.
Now,
I'm hearing a common theme here.
Right. Now, what if someone said, Fran, I'm afraid you're never going to graduate?
I'd look at him and say, you're crazy.
Yeah.
I'm going to graduate.
Yeah. But yet there was a school that we all went to. If we're here, if everyone here is witnesses, maybe some of you aren't witnesses, which is fine. But see, there was what was called the Theocratic Ministry School, which at least they told us, in our experience with that Watchtower organization, they told us that's the school that you'll never graduate from. I guess that was supposed to be a big deal or something. They thought that was supposed to be unique and special. But little did we realize that really it was more like a snare. And we were being warned about it right there, that you're never going to graduate. And maybe at there we should have just grabbed our belongings and just walked out before we wasted any more of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
If we realized, if we're using our thinking and realizing we're never going to graduate, what are we going to have to show for it? Except not graduating and always being not having anything to show for it. Well, that's only one of the ways that the Watchtower organization distorts things in our minds. They've distorted many things, haven't they?
Yeah, Yep.
many things. They've distorted people's perception of their own free will. They've distorted our perception of our genders, our sexuality, our family life, our intimate life. They've distorted the very notion of God as well as life. They distorted everything. But the big one that we can talk about tonight a little bit, and we'd like your comments on it too, is how do you feel about attending a school but not graduating? Would it have been acceptable to you for high school or college or cosmetology school or electronics school or any other school, any kind of endeavor that you would have gotten into? How would you have felt if you couldn't walk away with something? How would you feel about that? What are your views on that? How do you feel that left you? If you'd like to just jump in, you can. The other question too I could ask is, if you recognize that it was a school and you were in it for any period of time, be it 1 year or 50 years, what did you learn? What did you say? Here's what I learned from that school. And it's thus and thus and thus. What did you learn? Maybe we can share what we learned from that school. Either beneficial or useless, irrelevant, harmful. What?
We got some on the live chat. Donna says, when I left for 30 years, I got my nursing degree, my associates in criminal justice, and my bachelor's in legal studies. Now that's what I call.
That's an outside story.
That's an outside story. That is great. Good for you,
You get
Donna.
an applause there.
Yeah.
Now, everyone to some degree is going to have taken something away and done something. And that's wonderful. It's just wonderful. But that's one of the things that we needed to do. We needed to graduate. We needed to graduate from that theocratic ministry school. And as far as I'm concerned, I view myself as a graduate, not an apostate. I decided I'm graduating. I'm done. We're out. Because then we've got other advanced things to do with our lives. See, the Watchtower never wanted us to do anything advanced with our life. They just want us to remain a nice sheepy slave. They like nice sheepy slaves because they don't want us to do anything other than slave for Watchtower. Unless, of course, we choose to graduate, which so many have, and I'm very proud to be in the company of those that have. And when we share those stories of what we did afterward, it's encouraging. It really is.
Anyone want to call in and tell us what they did when they graduated?
Or what you learned from that school. We know it was, it had certain characteristics that you may or may not have liked, but maybe there's something you learned from it or from the whole experience of being a witness. What you learned. Could be anything. Anything.
Yeah, Joe.
Your thoughts. We're here.
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah, we're here.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, sorry. No, I'm just calling. It's Tim here. Just my experiences with it, with that whole theocratic ministry school. I started doing talks on it when I was 7 years old. I was a good reader. What did it teach me, like you ask? Well, nothing really, except for maybe a little bit of experience with public speaking.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. Their grading system was pretty poor. Like, they'd have to work on things like gestures, and if they don't come naturally, like with me, you would work on it once, you'd throw out a few gestures, they'd put you improved. Next time, you do it again. And then when you were marked good, you wouldn't do gestures again, and they didn't care, you know. And some other stupid things, personal appearance. And when I was a kid, I didn't wear a tie a couple of times, and I got marked badly for that, and you know, or a coat. And it's like, well, so another stupid thing, you know, hot weather. It's not comfortable, especially back when we didn't have aircon in the halls. You know, they'd expect you to wear a coat, and your personal appearance was bad if you weren't wearing a coat or a tie, which is just insane. Other than that, yeah, it's just a complete load of rubbish. You're literally just, apart from the reading from the Bible, nothing wrong with that. But yeah, you just make up some sort of a rubbish introduction and a conclusion, and that was it. So yeah, that's my thought.
Fair enough. Fair enough. See, you drew something of value, and as we've heard once, someone said, a chronologist person that's got some deep understanding of history, he said, when you research anything, you need to learn how to chew up the meat and spit out the bones. And there's an awful lot of bones for the Watchtower that we needed to spit out. And that's hopefully what we want to keep doing, because sometimes we keep finding out things that we learned that are of no value. They're of absolutely no value. We can help each other with that too.
Bill?
Yeah.
Hey there, it's Dan. How you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Hi, Dan.
Good. Hey, Fran. Yeah, I was
Hi,
just
Dan.
listening in. Because it's interesting, you know, when I think we traded everything for Watchtower. You know, we traded all our extracurricular activity, all our football playing, all our wrestling, all our cross country, all that stuff that I could do in school, I had to give up. You know, I couldn't be a part of this, a part of that, proms, you know, it was like nothing. We gave all that up for, you know, the ministry school, and to have what they call privileges in the organization. And I just think it's such a loser game we played. I mean, we gave up everything that naturally builds our self-esteem. I used to look at the kids in the hall, or in the hallway at school, and I say, what is that letter on their coat? And why does one have a bigger one and one have the little one? And they said, oh, that's junior varsity and that's varsity. And I said, what does that mean? I had no idea in high school, no idea. And those kids had self-esteem.
Right.
They walked with their head up. They were a part of clubs. So one thing I realized when I finally left the organization was I started doing things that might seem, you know, like minor to people, but to me they were like big things because I had no self-esteem. I had no sense of self. All I knew how to do was turn the volume up on the Kingdom Hall, turn it down. When somebody was talking low, I'd turn it up. Oh, you got the privilege of doing the sound, or hold the microphone close to somebody's mouth, or reading a Watchtower. There was nothing to build up your self-esteem other than that. And it was only with regard to the organization. Outside that, you were barely able to function. So one thing I did, guys, was to build up my self-esteem was I was at work one day when I got out of there, and I asked this guy, how did you get this shirt? Well, what is this shirt that you have on that says 5K? And he said, oh, you run a 5K, you know, 3 miles or something, you know, 3.2 miles. And I said, really, you get a T-shirt for that? And I said, yeah. So I went down, signed up. I went to the running store, and I signed up for a 5K. And then the guy came in a week later, and he had a 10K shirt on. And I said, what's that? And he said that was for, you know, a 5-month run. And I was like, cool, you know, that's really cool. And then you get T-shirts. So I went. I was so desperate to have something to say, you know, that I was like worthy of being a human.
Mm-hmm.
Wear around and say I did something. You know, because I had nothing credible to lean on when I got out of Watchtower. What the hell does anybody care if you say, well, I trusted the microphone, yeah, you know, for the hard of hearing, or, you know, I turned them up and down. That's what I did for 20 years.
Yeah.
But when I got out, I started collecting these running shirts, and I was running like 5 and 10K every week. And so I had about 20 shirts, and I was really proud of them. And then somebody said, you get a medal if you run a half marathon. What's that? 13 miles. And I said, I can run ran up Pikes Peak and got a medal. And
You
then
were a regular Forrest Gump.
I really was.
Now,
And then it said, wait till you run.
now that's a regular. Now, that's an overachiever outside story. I give you so much credit for that.
It's the outside story, guys. But you know what? When I was outside, I asked my boss. I was down in Los Angeles, and I was working at a hotel. And I asked my boss. I said, "Hey, you think I can run a marathon this weekend?" And I was jogging. You know, I know a marathon, 26.2 miles.
Wow.
And I ran a marathon, the fastest one I ever ran in my life. It was the first one I ran, and it was 3:56:46 for 26.2 miles. And that's very good for a person who doesn't run. So when I ran in, when I got in, the last 2 miles, they're taking pictures, you're on cameras, you get to stand on the stage, they put a medal around your neck, you get to walk around, you're the one that went 26.2.
Wow.
And then I was just like Forrest Gump. I ran that, then I ran Las Vegas International, then I ran Albuquerque, then I ran Colorado twice.
Wow.
Just like
Wow.
Forrest Gump. I use that phrase. And I had so much self-esteem just from that. It was like, oh my God, you know, I ran marathons, you know, you're the elite runner, you know what I mean? And then I did a lot of stuff after that, you know, writing books. But man, I'll tell you, I was starting to feel like I was worthy of being something. Yeah, you know, when I got out of there, it was like I had no self-esteem because, like you said, you give a talk, oh, you got a W, your gestures weren't emphatic, or you know, you didn't move your hands enough, or whatever, your tonality of your voice.
So the point you brought out in the beginning, Dan, is what I really feel strongly about is that was a very bad bargain that we were bargaining for.
Yeah.
It was a very bad bargain. And we needed to be we needed to be much more careful with how we bargain.
That's right, Joe.
Thank you, Dan. Good to hear from you.
That's a great thing that you did.
You know, and even I'll tell you, you guys, you know, even if you veered off a little bit, you know, within the organization, you know, of their guidelines. Like, I don't know if I told you one time I was giving a talk and I heard a guy say, hey, you ought to go over to Toastmasters. And I said, what's that? He said, it's a speaking place where you go to speak. And so I went over there and they said that this guy was giving a talk on enthusiasm or something, or, you know, something to just show this zeal, you know. And I said, man, that's so cool. Inspiration, it's called inspiration. And I said, man, I'm going to do a talk and I'm going to be inspirational. I'm getting it from Toastmasters. And like somebody said, just go there, you'll pick up a few pointers. So I said, I'm going to do an inspirational talk. So I put this talk together. And I was talking about a guy going fishing. I said, yeah, you know, when a guy goes fishing, he don't care if it's raining, he don't care if it's snowing, he's going through those weeds, he's going to punch a hole in the ice, he's going to freeze, but he's going to fish and he's going to catch a fish. And that's the attitude we need to have in the field service, you know, to have that, you know, inspiration for Jehovah and blah, blah, blah. And I read the thing and I put out a few points. And that brother looked at me and he scolded me. And he said, Brother Clark, where did you get that information? There was so many good points you could have brought out. So many good points. You could have brought out this point. You could have brought out, what the hell? And I mean, when I sat down from giving that talk, I felt so good. I felt like I did something. I put some battery into it, some charge. And I got there. I felt like that was a great illustration, great inspiration, and a great, you know, use of, you know, of an idea, you know, to bit of message. Yeah. And it was just shot down, cold as ice. And I was like, wow, and I got a W, and I was like, I was just floored.
Amazing.
Well, really? We're just supposed to read off a script, reading exactly the words right off the page of the Bible, and then just a few, you know, don't get too many of your own thoughts in there, you know. And so anyway, I got a W on several W's. And, you know, I was like some brothers that argue with the brothers, but you know, it was just weird, you know.
So what you learned is that anything you do to improve your self-worth is not going to be supported.
That's right. That's right. And you know something, guys? I heard, I watched a video of Tony Morris the other day. You guys probably saw it. And it was just a short clip. It was like 30 seconds. It was in a short. And Tony Morris was saying about a girl that was talking about Bethel. He said, this girl was just talking about Bethel, blah, 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 all the stuff she learned in the Bethel school. And he says, I just couldn't believe it. You know, it's like, he's like, I told her, look, I came here to hear this guy, not you. You know, I know you're excited about what you learned in Gilead or whatever. He said, but I came here to hear him. And he threw this lady under a bus. And that's how I felt like I was treated. Like I was thrown under a bus for effort. And I've had the same thing happen in service, where we've gone out in service and the brothers lectured everybody that we didn't prepare well enough. And I'm like, well, you're lucky there's anybody out here. It's Saturday morning. We'd rather sleep in. But he's like, did you come to the meeting Thursday? Did you catch the points that they made on the Thursday night meeting? Did you, you know, and on and on and on. It's like, dude, let's go out door to door so we can get this thing over with. You know, or we can get out of here and go have a cup of coffee, you know. But we would get lectured more for doing the right thing. You know, we'd be 4 or 5 people going out door to door and we'd get beat up because we didn't bring out the points from the Thursday night meeting, all the reminders, you know. It was so, I just think we traded, guys, like you guys said. I think this is a great topic, but we traded everything for that. Everything that made us more human, more like a man, more like a woman, you know.
You know, and then that's the other thing too, is the one thing that we might have missed is taking personal responsibility for our own personal judgment. Just as an example, they may have offered living forever on a paradise earth, but we were the ones that accepted it. We were the ones that didn't say, I don't think so. I think it's too good to be true. In fact, I don't think it's even biblical. I reject that. Maybe we were the ones that were greedy and we wanted something we couldn't have. And maybe we were willing to do anything they asked us to do or they wanted us to do. And maybe as humans, we shouldn't do that. Maybe that's leaving ourselves open,
you know,
for exploitation.
That's a good point. And I think everything you do after that, they call it due diligence. When you're making any kind of investment, they say, did you do your due diligence? And I used to say, what does that mean? And they said, well, you're investing in a company. Did you do the background? Did you look at their other investments? Have you done your due diligence? Have you searched it out? And I think that's a good point, Joe, that we didn't search it out. And most of us, it was kind of innocent. It was, you know, like, I'm just going to say my case particularly, I was born into it. So I was kind of ignorant. You know, it was like, we were the only ones who used the name Jehovah, so it had to be the truth. We were the only ones who didn't believe in the Trinity. We were the only ones who didn't celebrate the pagan holidays. We were the only ones who didn't take blood. They ain't for food sacrifice idols from blood. So to me, it resonated as true. And then when I got married outside of the Kingdom Hall to a Catholic, and then I got divorced not even a year later, it was like I did wrong by way of Jehovah. I left Jehovah and I married outside the faith, and this is what happened. So I ran back in, and then I married a Jehovah's Witness and was married for 17 years before Angela. And so it's sort of blind in ignorance too, Joe. It's not so much greed from my point of view. My point of view, I sincerely thought the world was going to be a paradise. But here's what happened with me. In the late 70s, I was really on board. I went through marriage, divorce, and then I came back full in, studied hard, got baptized. I was born in, but I got baptized in my 20s. And then I was like straight up ministerial servant, you know, doing everything right. Every congregation I ever went in, I was a good publisher. I read the Watchtower, I read the book studies, I opened and closed the meetings with prayer, all of that stuff. And I was fully vested. But what happened, Joe, for me, and this is a little maybe different from you, but in the 80s, early 80s, the generation prophecy was coming to an end. And I was paying close attention because I really didn't know what the hell happened in 75. All I knew is my dad got very disappointed in 75. I said, what the hell, what's wrong with my dad? Well, he was waiting. He was hoping that the end was going to come so he could return to the bloom of his youth. He was obese. He was almost 500 pounds. My mom was 300 pounds, 4'11". Obesity ran in my family. He let his teeth go. He let his health go. And so he thought it was right there. We thought we would never graduate. I graduated in 1977. So all of a sudden, 75 passes. I don't know what's going on. Really, I wasn't really involved. I was, drinking, doing all sorts of stuff at that time. But my dad fell into a deep depression and he never came out. Well, when I got back in, I was really watching the generation prophecy. I knew that prophecy inside and out, backwards and forwards. I preached it.
I don't know. I still don't understand it.
You know what I mean?
It's amazing. Yeah, I still don't understand it.
Yes, but here's what happened. It was just basically this. 70 or 80 years is a generation. So they said Satan was cast down in 1914. That's why World War I and World War II broke out. So that was the beginning of the time of the end. And then they said a generation was 70 or 80 years from 1914, which would put you in to the 80s, early 80s. That was the end of the generation. So I was watching for whatever reason, guys. I was like paying attention. I was like, all right, we're here. We're reading the Revelation book, know this. When you see this happen, know that the end is near. This is the beginning of pain, the signs of distress, nation rising against nation, kingdom, food shortages, earthquakes, and the great tribulation. All of these things would happen in one generation. And so I'm like, it's here. It's here. Nation rising against nation, food shortages, earthquakes, all here. And this is the 70 or 80 years. And all of a sudden, this is how awake I was. And in the 80s, I think it was late 80s. Anyway, they said we got new information at the assembly. And I'm like, what new information? He said, we got new information on the generation. Guys, I was not asleep for some reason. My eyes were open. And I said, what do you mean new information? What the hell are you talking about? What are they talking about? What are they saying? He said, there's going to be new information. Jehovah's giving, the lights got brighter. You know how the rumors start. You guys remember before the assembly, you hear there was new information, the new idea, And so anyway, that's when I left. I asked a favorite brother of mine that we get carpet together. We did all this stuff together. We had pizza. We drank together. He was an elder. And I said, hey, Bill, what are they talking about, this generation? I said, did we just pass the generation prophecy? To me, it was a prophecy. I don't care what they call it. Yeah, you know what I mean? They were leading us all along with care of generation. This generation will by no means pass away till the great end of it and the great tribulation. So I was like, my eyes were glued to that. And when they said that, I'm like, no, this can't be right. And so when I asked the brother, they looked at me like a deer in the headlights. I said, can I just ask both you guys something? What's the new generation prophecy? What are they talking about? There's new information. Two guys looked at each other, two elders looked at each other, and I freaked out. I was wide awake. And I went, what the hell is wrong with these guys? I mean, I really sincerely thought, why are they looking at me like they saw a demon? Or they saw, something really freaky. They looked at each other and they smiled kind of gently and they said, we'll get back with you. And when they got back with me, my buddy Bill, we went out and had a drink. We used to like to have a bourbon and Coke with some pizza, Coltrane pizza. And we went over there and he said, hey, man, Dan, you need to keep your mouth shut. And I said, what? Keep my mouth shut about what? And he said, when you were talking to me and that brother the other day, you were asking about the generation prophecy. And I said, yeah. And he said, don't do that. You're going to get in trouble. And that was my mouth dropped open. I said, what are you talking about, Bill? He pulls out a paper from Brooklyn, and it said, Dan Clark, beware, apostate watch.
Oh, sure.
Now, see, that was the end of what I thought was a true reality. I thought that was a real reality. I wasn't looking at it out of greed. I was looking at it from Bible standpoint, from what they shared with me from the Bible. I believed it was in the Bible. I saw it in the Bible. I saw the generation prophecy. I saw the beginning of the pangs, the signs of distress. I saw the nation rising against food shortage, earthquakes. And I said, it's going to happen in this generation. And then they said a generation is no longer a generation as we know it of 70 or 80 years. And here's the new idea of the generation. And it went into the overlapping generation. Right there, it was over. And then a brother put me on reproof. When I moved, it was a Hispanic brother. He was prejudiced, and he put me on reproof, even though I opened and closed his meeting. I went to the next congregation. The brother wouldn't call on me. And when I asked him, why won't you call on me? He says, well, you're on reproof. I said, I'm not on reproof. So I went back down to Colorado Springs and caught the brother at a 7-Eleven. And I said, hey, Andy, what's up? What are they talking about? You're on reproof, Brother Clark. And it was just, there was prejudice, and that was the end. That was the end. I put in my letter, and I said, I don't believe this is the truth. And I signed it, put it in their envelope, put it in their mailbox, and I never looked back.
I'm glad you're out, Dan.
40 years, man. 40 years.
You know what, guys? I'm glad you're out.
Here's what I want to say to people. Don't let Watchtower be your last chapter. Don't let Pista be your last chapter. Don't let alcoholism be your last chapter. I've had alcoholism. I haven't drank in 20 years. Don't let this shit be your last chapter just because of some men in the organization who want to play God. You know, told you need to leave or you left or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's not the last chapter. I got back with the locusts of Eden. I've got more than the locusts of Eden. I've done a lot of things. I found my gifts and talents. You're never going to find your gifts and talents if you're being beat down and you're being told you're no good. You're being told you're not enough. You're being told you missed the mark endlessly. The Watchtower is designed that way. Are you gossiping? Are you masturbating? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Are you making enough meetings? Did you go out 5 times last month? There was an extra week that much. Did you auxiliary pioneer? Could you have did more? Could you? You're out of that shit. And I got to tell you, when I got out, there was a little bit of disorientation, but it was like an animal coming out of a cage. You kind of don't know where you're going. You just kind of feel free. You have programming you didn't realize until you come out. There's programming they put in you. I call them implants. I had implants of fear. I thought Jehovah was going to kill me. But day by day, I saw that people were good. And I went, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
And I still have my job. And I went, whoa. I'm still being taken care of. Whoa. And then I just started doing things. I started challenging myself. I started reading books. I started educating myself. I studied for 20 years. I started writing books. I started painting. I started a business. I started doing anything I wanted. I just started a cane business just now. I got some really nice canes from California, and I'm painting them really beautiful. And anyway, we can do anything, but we got to get out of that grip that spells and grips us. And the spells are in the form of the words that they've transmitted to us through the Bible. And they put us under Watchtower spell because it's the way they formed the words to create the spelling to put us under Watchtower hypnosis. But man, when you get out, you're like that stallion that jumps up in the air and just starts running and running and running, or the wild animal that they let out of the cage and man, shoots out into the forest. It looks back at you and says thank you, and just goes out in the forest and starts learning. So you can learn. I started at 40. And I've done so much. I've done 100 times more than I was doing at Watchtower. I was just surviving in Watchtower, waiting for the world to end. But now we can actually do things in the world. We can encourage, we can help, we can serve like you guys did, traveling, encouraging people, building people up. We can be our own presiding overseers. We can be our own, whatever it is that God creates to do. We have gifts and talents that we've never seen. And I want to say this, most of who we are is up on the shelf. I had no idea any of these things were part of what I could do. I didn't know I could do beautiful paintings. I didn't know I had these different gifts. I was so dumbed down. And when that veil came off of Watchtower, that veil that they had me under, that hypnosis, man, it was like sky's the limit. So I just want to tell people that are thinking about getting out, figure out how to get out, figure out how to make it outside, and do it however you got to do it. But you're going to find yourself, you're going to find your purpose, you're going to find your way, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Yeah, you mentioned some good points.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of comments in the live chat. Different ones are reading books that they didn't read before.
Yeah, and I noticed too, for example, let's say there's movies that you would never watch, and maybe I see some commenters here talk about movies. Maybe someone's seen like a movie that they haven't, that they would never go to. What was that like for people? Does anyone have an example of what they went through when they chose to maybe go to a different movie or a play, or how they stepped out? Is there any other examples of that anyone can offer? Something you did that wasn't Watchtower?
Yeah, Fred, I'd like to take a shot at that question.
Yeah.
My experience is that I love to play basketball. And after the meetings, I'd get on to playground, and I used to move. And one of the brothers came with me, but I didn't recruit him. We both loved to play basketball. And as time went by, more brothers got a hold of it, and they'd show up. She had more brothers showing up as a basketball court than from ministry to door-to-door work. So one of the brother called me to the side, and he said, "Give me brother basketball. I want to talk to you." And he was really upset. And he thought I was recruiting people, and that since I was a ministerial servant, that was certainly a bad look.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing I just want the audience to know is I can remember talk number 4s, and what they used to do in talk number 4s is they'd have you read some scriptures, then they'd jump over to another chapter, and then read some more scriptures, then jump over a whole bunch of scriptures to another one. So in your mind, you're thinking you're learning the Bible, or you're studying the Bible. You're not, because it's taken out of context, and you don't get the real meaning.
Yeah.
That's trickery. I think for me, the guilt, it took a lot of years, and Rick Farron helped with this a lot. But you're always under the gun for something. If you do not go out in the door-to-door work, you will be blood guilty. And when Armageddon comes, you're going to die. And the birds of the air are going to be picking your eyeballs out.
Mm.
You can go out in the field service. If you don't go to a quick build, what are you doing? I used to get this all the time. I had a job that would pay time and a half on Saturday. And, some of these older brothers that their families were gone, and their children were gone, and they were pretty secure. Brother, what are you doing working on Saturday? Well, hey, wait a minute. There are bills to be paid. I'm raising children. My wife didn't work. If I didn't work on Saturday, my bills would pile up. That's just how it was. And they would guilt you and guilt you and guilt you.
Yeah.
So once I'm out 2 or 3 years, the guilt leaves. It returns. I can go out and play basketball anytime I want. Brother Woody, what are you doing driving a Harley Davidson? That's not a good look. Well, I love my Harley Davidson. Why can't I do that? And the being out of the cult is, boy, that's heaven. That's your real heaven. Being out of that cult, you don't have to worry about, saving other people's lives and Armageddon and all that stuff that they put you through.
Yeah.
The organization is just full of lies. And like I said a little earlier in the evening, that you realize that what I'm saying is true, or what Dan Clark was just saying, he's very articulate. What he was just saying a few months before I came on, you believe that's true, and I can guarantee you it is, that you got to tell somebody, even if you have to do it anonymously. Like I said, write a postcard, say, listen to 6 Screens, listen to FRAN, listen to these folks that come on. I've been on 6 Screens since its inception. I'm not payroll and never have been. I just do this because there are people that need to know that you can be really, really hurt and you can be beat up really, really bad psychologically by the Watchtower. It's a Satan organization. I don't know if too many people know John Ramirez. He's a person that was a Satan worshiper for years, and Jesus pulled him out of it. And he knows all about the occult, and you know, he was a general in Satan's system. And he, in his books, Armed and Dangerous, you ought to get it if you really want some good reading. Number 5, there was 20 different avenues that Satan uses. And number 5 was the Watchtower. It appears to be an angel of light, but it's true darkness. There are many, many scriptures that they've twisted people's lives. There's been a lot of people saved by 6 screens. I just want you to, Rick will tell you that, because he's pretty humble. But I know there are a lot of people that were going to commit suicide. And because of 6 screens, they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think that just holding, you have information about how corrupt the Watchtower is, you must share it with somebody. You'll never know. I mean, that could be the person. He might be smiling, but inside, he's terrible. I know my last couple of years in the Watchtower, I was smiling and greeting everybody and doing prayers from the platform, like Dan Clark, you know, and reading the Watchtower and, you know, doing all that stuff. But inside, I was miserable. I was suicidal.
Yeah.
You know, one of my kids, I probably would have,
Yeah.
committed suicide. This is a corrupt organization. Anyway, thank you both of you and the wife for coming on, and it's a really good program, and I hope you continue on. God bless and take care.
Thank you so much. And, you know, with regards to that, for anyone who's interested in connecting with anyone else, like like was just spoken here, we have other friends that be more than happy to connect with you. We can just let us know. Let us know if you're interested. Fran.
I have an experience that, because we were always trying to connect, and our goal from the beginning was to find as many local XJWs, and it was really hard because people didn't want to come out and, you know, expose themselves. So it was through Rick Farron's program that we met someone. She's only 10 miles away, and she's listening tonight. She's a very sweet, they were in the Spanish congregation, I'll say that much. And she heard us on 6 screens. She got in touch with us, and then she also heard us on the local radio show that we did back on March 13th, WIBX. And she got in touch with us, and we've been to her house. She's been here, and we just had 4 exes from our area that have been out. They didn't know each other, and we had them over for dinner Thursday night, and we had such a good time and conversation and encouraging. And one of the friends said, "This is exactly what I needed." Because I could tell just by the way she had texted something that day. I said, "We're having a meetup. Why don't you just come on over?" So she did. And she said it was at the right time. And so we never know. So we have to keep looking for those around us. And we're available. Joe and I are available. No matter where you are, you can call us. We'll give our number again, our email. Please, we'd like to contact and connect people.
Yeah, and there will be others too that you can connect with. And there have been some great connections. I mean, people have discovered friends that they never had before.
Remember, you came up with a saying this week. You said friends of friends. Remember? Yeah, friends of friends.
Yeah.
You know, just connecting friends of friends.
It's a valuable thing. It's really powerful. It's a very special thing. And we've been honored to be able to be a part of that. And we're thankful for everything that Rick has done to start that. And all the other friends that have offered themselves to be friends of you. So if there are any that they're interested in connecting with someone, just let us know.
Yeah, it was just a year ago that we called in, and Rick said, anyone out there want to call in? Anyone just newly getting out of the Watchtower?
Yep.
And I said to Joe, I said, we can call in. So we did, and that was the beginning of our 6 screens. And we haven't stopped ever since, and we've met so many beautiful people and true friends. When we were in the Watchtower, we called each other friends, but that was conditional. We have true friends.
Those were all approved associates. They weren't friends. Now they're friends. And we have that opportunity to continue that. You know, one of the things that when the friends come over, we have these that where are we?
The other way.
There we go. That's a button. You pin it on. We have those, and we wear those out in public so that if we're in Walmart or wherever else we are, and people see that, well, if they're an ex-JW or if they're a PMO JW, they know what this means. And that's how one of the ways we connect to with others around.
We have more buttons. If you want any of the buttons, just let us know.
Let us know.
And we also have our postcards that we've been sending out. And some of the friends have been so nice to take some postcards and send them or leave them in strategic places. Our email is on there. Everything is kept confidential. If anyone is leaving, we make sure that every customer that leaves our shop gets a copy of it. And we were just talking to an 87-year-old judge today. And boy, oh boy, we got talking on the subject, and he said, don't ruin my holiday.
Yeah.
Because he knows. He's been in family court for many, many, many years, and he's a customer of ours. He said, don't get me started. So we're just making public awareness, as many people as we can. And if you know of anyone, we can send them a postcard. Let us know. If you want an XJW button, we've got more. We can have more made. Just let us know.
Joe.
Hello.
Hi. This is Derek. How you doing?
Oh, good, Derek. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that when I left Watchtower, I got when I left the Watchtower, when I left Joe's Witnesses, when I graduated, one thing I did, I was so lost and didn't know where to turn to, and my sister was like, my sister left about a year before I did, and she said, go to a non-denominational church. So I did, and then from there I joined to Fort Bruce, and I joined the 6 screens and met wonderful friends, like you and Joe, and I'm blessed. And then also, since I've been out, I've also quit drinking about 3 years ago, and I'm blessed. My life may not be perfect, but I'm blessed that I'm blessed for all I've been through and that I'm still here.
And we are too. We're glad you are too, Derek.
And we are blessed that we got to meet you in person. And Cookie, we got to meet Cookie and you in person. That was the highlight of our. Hello.
I just want to say thank you for letting me call in, and the reason why I joined 6 Screens because I just wanted you guys just let me be myself, so to speak. That's what I appreciate about you all, because I don't know any PMOs where I live. So the reason why I'm calling in is because you guys let me feel like I fit in. And that's something I wish my mom would know about this. I wish my mom would know that there are other XJWs who are not extreme and negative.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe you can introduce her to this program. She may be open to it.
I really would help though, because I'm trying to show my mom that I appreciated what she did for me with the perfumes and chemical and the environmental allergies and all of that. That's why I try to have a balanced view of my childhood and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah, just keep being
that
kind
is
to
important.
her.
Yeah.
Be kind to her. Tell her you love her, how much you appreciate, what she did for you, raising you.
What's going to happen? Everybody is going to be hurt by Watchtower, one way or the other. It may not be at the same time that you were hurt or turned off or offended, but everybody will, one way or another, is going to be offended or hurt or turned off. And we just want to be there for when they are. It's a patience game. Yeah, it's a question of being patient.
yes,
Yeah, and
I remember 2010 being the year that Jack Barr and Ted Jarrett had all died. That's when I realized I knew something was off about this 1914 generation thing.
Yeah, there were so many things that were a tip off, and that's where
I do study my own history of my own religion without bias, with best by knowledge without bias. I really wanted to believe this was true religion, but I started to see things that didn't look right.
Yeah, they take advantage of our desire. See, they know what our desires are, and so they manipulate and exploit us through those desires. And it works. Unfortunately, it works. And that's where we have to be very careful with what we desire.
Yeah,
they know what they are.
That's why I don't trust any current JWs that are living in my area.
Yeah. No, well, see,
I was afraid that someone would come in and stab me in the back, so to speak.
Yeah, no, it's so true. It's so true. No, you're absolutely right. That's why we have to be careful in our area too. Because they are, if they're genuine and they want to get out, they have to be careful that one of their people doesn't hurt them for doing that. It's a very careful thing, but we are finding people one way or the other. Either through this program.
That's why I encourage those in local areas to set up their own meetup group.
It's a very good thing to do. Yeah. See, and it is growing. I mean, as Rick would even point out, so many people are coming out as never came out before. And we're going to see that more and more. We really are. We're glad to be able to be there and be available. By the day, new developments are happening.
This also goes for American Sign Language, because little did I realize now we were taking advantage of the deaf and hard of hearing in more ways than we really think. Now that I'm out of sign language and out of the JW thing.
Yeah.
That's why I prefer to leave the deaf and sign language community and put it behind me. That also contributed to HBO's Mea Maxima Culpa, Silence in the House of Church of God. And I would recommend that. For ex-JWs too, because that also plays a part on waking up from the deaf community and sign language.
Yeah, each person is going to have to be very careful.
Right.
Well, thank you for commenting, really.
You're welcome. FRAN,
Hello.
Yes, hello.
hi, this is Desiree.
Hi, Desiree. Nice to hear you.
Hi. Nice to hear you as well. I just was thinking about the original topic that you guys brought up about the ministry school,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just thinking of how something as insignificant as the ministry school is a way that Jehovah's Witnesses measure things like spirituality or your love of God, even your self-worth. And Jehovah's Witnesses value public speaking, but if you're bad at it, you're less valuable to them.
Yeah.
And it's less likely to move you up in the organization, which is what a lot of these people want because they have nothing else in life. And that's how they feel like they're valuable to God.
Yeah.
And being good at talks isn't a measure of your love for God. And as an introvert, I experienced that. It's just like, it's not just the talks, but it's the ministry. If you're bad at both of it, that's how they measure your love for God.
Yeah.
And it's such a man-made way of measuring your love for God because it's all about heart condition and they can't measure that.
That's
But
right.
they do it on superficial grounds.
That's
And
it.
they do it even with the ministry school.
Right.
And I remember once, like I have to write up work because I'm an introvert and I kind of go blank in the mind if I'm not, if I'm under pressure. So I have to write up my talks word for word. And if you do that and you're bad at it, like they don't view you as valuable. So it was just another spin on you guys talking about the ministry school is that they actually value you more if you're good at it, and then you'll go on and you'll be a circuit overseer. But if you're horrible at it, you're not good enough, and you'll never climb up the ranks, which you don't need to do anyways. But it's just sad that they think they can measure someone's heart condition and spirituality based on something so superficial. And when you're out, you see it, but when you're in, you don't, So
No.
just a thought.
No, it's so true. So true. It's a process that we go through of waking up. And now we're watching others who are going through that.
Yeah. And you can't measure your love for God based on how good your talk is, but this is the system that they built.
Right.
Is that, well, someone loves Jehovah more because they're better at this and they're better at that.
Right.
And some of us, like, once I was a householder with Eric's grandmother, and she could just kind of wing a talk as it was, but I'm not that type of person. I have to write things out word for word so I don't get it wrong. And she didn't want to give me notes. She just wanted to wing it. And I came off the stage and I cried because I was so nervous.
Yeah.
And they don't value people. They don't value people that struggle with it as much as they value the people that it's easy for.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just good to show you that God isn't behind it, because that's not how. I mean, it's common sense to know that's not how God would work.
See, you learned something valuable. It was a painful lesson, and they took advantage of your ignorance. They took advantage of my ignorance, and yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. But no. I'm just saying it's can someone not see that they're like measuring your spirituality based on something so superficial, and for someone not to see through it, like you're losing people because of you, not because of us,
Yeah. Now, so it's noted that the society their real goal is to basically destroy faith in God. They don't want faith in God.
Yeah, they have.
They want faith in them as men.
If Jehovah exists, they're destroying belief in.
Oh boy, you're breaking up.
Hello, well, anyways, thank you. It was really nice talking to you.
Nice hearing you,
thank
Desiree.
you too for being here and coming in, Desiree. Keep up.
We love you. Thank you very much.
Keep
Oh,
up
we
the
love
courage.
you too. You know, Debbie Moore from Nebraska was saying that when she was 14, she wrote that she was offered a scholarship. She could have gotten a scholarship to be a doctor, to be in the medical field, but she turned it down because of her parents and, you know, being a JW. And she ended up getting married at 16. Hi, Debbie. I'm just reading your comments, but I'm sure a lot of JWs got scholarships and had to turn them down
Yeah.
because, you know, was not recommended to go to college, especially 4 years. So now she's working on a book. She's an avid reader. Debbie is a knowledgeable person. So, you know, it's not all lost. We can make up for the things that we lost early on. If, you know, if we have that opportunity, there's so many ways we can do that.
Yeah, people in so many other circumstances, even ones that weren't in the Watchtower, go through this same kind of period of their of a wasted period of their life, or if not wasted, maybe it may not seem like it's very productive, but then so much can be learned from that, and then we can move on to that. And we have such good examples of all of ones here that have done that and that are doing that. And if you don't know what you can do, just keep looking at others. Maybe you'll get an idea. There's so much to be learned from each other. Someone there?
Hi, this is JP. Can you hear me?
Hey, JP.
Hello, JP.
Hey, nice topic tonight. So talking about the Theocratic Ministry School.
Yeah.
Yeah, and graduating.
Yes.
Great topic. Graduating. It's a school you never graduate from.
Oh, no. I graduated.
We
I
graduated.
graduated.
Yeah, I finished it because I gave my last talk and I never went back. So they owe me a tuition fee, I think, or something.
Yeah. No.
Watchtower has many schools for many different things. It seems like they have schools for elders and all kinds of stuff for Gilead schools. It's just a lot of schools. They have a lot to teach us, I think. But yeah, I just want to share my memories of my Theocratic Ministry School experience. I was raised as a witness, and I woke up like 2 years ago. I was inactive for like 8 years, but before that, I was always involved with the Theocratic Ministry School, and I first joined it when I was 7. And I've always been an introverted person most of my life, like how Desiree is that called in earlier. But I do feel it did help me a lot, even though it was really hard to get in front of people. I always did enjoy doing my research, working on my talks and all that, etc. But I mean, I've seen it all through the Theocratic Ministry School. I first joined the school when I was 7 years old. And that's when I gave my first talk. It was a Bible reading. I believe it was in the Bible book of Psalms. And I remained really active in that. I actually, at some point when I was really active in the organization, I was actually on the list to give like impromptu. So there is some point in my history as a witness. I remember I gave like a talk in the front hall, like a Bible reading, and then I had to run to the back and then give like a number 4 talk or something like that. But with the Bible reading progressed over the years, it's just you read the Bible now. And I remember when I first joined, even as a youngster at 7 years old, you were assigned, it was a Bible reading, but I would have to come up with a theme.
Yeah.
And an opening, and then you would read your Bible reading, and then you would have a conclusion.
Yeah.
And that went on for a long time. And then they finally changed it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I had seen everything. I had been involved since I was 7 years old, and then at some point I was assisting the brothers. I remember us handing out talk slips. There's never a sermon or anything, but this is probably about the closest I ever came. And then I remember even one of the school overseers, he was like, you're going to hand out the talk slips to the students, and then you manage the clock. So I would have this kitchen clock, and when the brother or sister would go up, I would start it.
Oh, wow.
And they go with their time, I would inform the school overseer, and he would either let them go a few seconds over the wrapping up their talk, or he would stop them. It was just so silly and funny looking back at that now. I remember I'd given some pretty good talks when I was older as an adult. I remember like some brothers and sisters telling me that I had given a good talk, and it meant a lot to me because I was an introvert, and it was so hard to get up in front of those people and speak. And I did, even in the main hall. So that always felt good, and I feel that sometimes it's rolled over to my life. I feel a little more confident, and even when I got to do some, like present something, I'm able to make like an outline or something like that. But I've seen it all, like in the ministry school, from sisters falling on stage or to brothers like fainting, to where just all kinds of things, through the years, because I was raised in, and a few like notable things. I remember one time I think I was like 9 or 10 years old, and I took so long on a talk. I forgot what it was about, but I wrote like the longest like conclusion. And I remember the school overseer. He actually, this is like in the main hall, and I remember he stood up. I was like 9 years old, and he started waving his hand trying to stop me, and I just looked at him, and I continued to deliver my talk until it was done. And minutes over, and then his brother that was about a teenager, like maybe 16 or 17, who was studying with me, he's like, why didn't you get off the stage when the brother was telling you? And I said, well, I had to finish my talk. And he's like,
That's right.
You're not supposed to do that. And I said, well, I understand that, but like I wrote the talk, so I didn't know where to end it, so I just had to finish it, and I just couldn't.
That's right.
You did good, JP. You did good.
And then I think one of the earliest memories I have, it was a little humiliating. I was around 8 years old, and I had to give a Bible reading. It was my second Bible reading in the main hall. And it was a difficult Bible reading. It was probably like from the book of Nehemiah or something. And I gave this Bible reading, the brother comes out, and he puts a stool in front of the stage because I'm short. And I have these thick Coke bottle, 1/4-inch glasses. Can't see anything.
Oh, dear.
And I remember I give my talk and all that. And then after, the one who is in charge of the school, he comes up on the stage and he says, well, thank you, Brother JP. I'm glad you delivered that talk, but I think we're all going to have to go home after this and reread the Bible reading because none of us could hear what you said. And everybody started kind of chuckling. And I didn't think it was funny because I worked really damn hard on that talk.
Oh, dear.
Especially, it was just, I was only raised by my mom. I didn't have a father or anything tell me with that talk. Just his brother that was my Bible study, he really helped me out. And I put a lot of heart into that talk. And the problem was I couldn't see, I had really bad vision, and I just got the first set of glasses. And he was like, yeah, none of us could hear you. And he says, next time you give a talk, he says, try not to bring the reference Bible up, but bring a regular Bible up and try to hold it up and read into the microphone. He said, instead of doing that, he said, you were like this, and he put his face literally into the platform, like all the way down, and he was trying to talk. He was like, Jesus, how can we hear you? There's like, literally had your face in the Bible.
Terrible.
And he's like, none of us could hear you.
Oh,
People all started laughing. Looking at that, back at it now, it was funny, but as a kid, it was kind of like a little humiliating and stuff. I remember he gave me my talk slip after, and I was such a youngster. I can remember just so tall, I was like barely looking at his belt buckle or his tie, you know. And I remember filling out my talk slip after the meeting. He said, yeah, next time don't bring up that reference Bible. Just bring up a regular Bible and try to like hold it up. He's like, that Bible is way too big. And I'm thinking like, well, it's a large print Bible. That's the one I brought up because I can't see.
that's here.
And I was like, as a 7-year-old, but that's okay. A lot of things went really well after that, you know, in the ministry school. But I'm looking back, and I remember, and I know you guys remember too, hearing people blunder and doing a lot of stuff during their talk. And sometimes the school overseer would be so harsh. And that's why eventually they got rid of that, whatever they want to call provision of giving counsel or grading you.
Yeah.
Because it's stupid and it sucked. It was hard for me as a 7 or 8-year-old introvert kid just to get up in front of 120 people when 100 and 120 people used to go to the Kingdom Hall back then. Now there's like 30.
Yeah.
It was hard enough back then. And then you have some guy that's like 50 years old coming down on you, and you're like, geez.
It's amazing.
You know, so
it's absolutely amazing.
I wonder they got rid of that, the counseling, and even the school's gone. Thank God for that. But, you know, I think anybody that was a witness, if you're a witness, you have to be part of the school. The requirement as a Jehovah's Witness, not only to preach, not only to turn in your time, go to all the meetings, but you also had to participate in the school. And I think that's something that people forget is like, we all were required to be part of that school. It doesn't matter if you want to be or if it's voluntary. If you're baptized, you have to be part of the ministry school and you have to deliver talk.
Right. Right.
And you have to do, you know, accept this counsel of, you know, your local, you know, shoe shiner, you know, telling you how to publicly speak while this guy's like at work shining shoes all day or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's trying to tell you like he's some kind of a professor or something, like, you know, you're like a dean of school or some kind of a, you know, class, like public debate or something. It's like, it's just crazy that you have to listen to these fellas. And it did help quite a bit. I think some things, it wasn't all bad, but I could just see the.
You know, JP, as you relate.
Brothers and sisters that, even people that I remember that only went to the meetings maybe for a couple of years, and they joined the ministry school and they gave talks and they didn't do so good. And the brother that was in charge of the school, he just like put him down so hard. And it's like, hey, they're not a public speaker. Like nobody is.
I know.
He is a professional speaker, but especially some of these youngsters or people that were just new to the Kingdom Hall and stuff, or just like were new recruits. Like, and this was like this is mostly I'm talking about like in the 90s and early 2000s when all this took place in my career in publicly speaking for the Watchtower Society, but thank God I don't have to do that anymore. I could publicly speak for myself now.
Oh, and you know, you learn so much. You know, you were JP. While you were relating, I was listening closely, and I said, you know, these are like nightmares. You know, that we all live through these nightmares of one sort or another, or these bad dreams. And maybe some of the dreams at times were pleasant dreams, but they were surreal. You know, these weren't realistic life situations. Um, they were things that happen like when you're asleep. It's not real. You know, it's a dream, and that's exactly what the Watchtower experience is like. It's like a sleeping dream nightmare, and we're awake. You're awake. You're awake from it. And I'm so glad. Um, and there are ones that are waking up now, and I think we're going to be sensitive to them because of what they've gone through.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you mentioning that, JP. You know, we don't want to forget what others are going. Others are going through that right now, who are the PMOs, and we hope that they find a place here when they hear one. You know, you're relating it, when they can relate to what you have gone through. I appreciate you offering that, JP.
Yeah, so I encourage any callers, you know, that call in, don't be worried or don't be alarmed by calling in and worrying about like your pronunciation or your party or
We're
your
not
use
grading. We're not grading anybody.
or your
No.
intention modulation. Just be yourself here on Six Screens, and you know, let's talk about it and let's have a good time and help each other up. That's all I got to say. Have a good night.
You're a good man, JP.
Love you, JP.
Love you guys too. Can you hear me now?
Hello.
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 Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Ex-Elder Tim. This is Ex-Elder Tim.
Oh, Tim.
Hi, Tim. How are you?
Ex-Elder Tim.
Anyway, you guys talking about the graduation thing, I thought that was a good point. Well, it's interesting, they do preemptive things in the culture of Jehovah's Witnesses, and when they get into the idea that you're never going to graduate, the next line is, after all, we're going to learn from Jehovah forever and never know enough. So they embellish the idea that it's reasonable that you don't graduate. And of course, you read all the way through the Bible and you start over again. And they have many things like this where part of the time they spend teaching you is telling you why they're teaching you the way they are to suppress questioning. It's like somebody's after you and you're a criminal, you want to throw them off the trail. No critical thinking allowed. So you make a real good point. I mean, you just have to get off the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
I like JP's commentary there. And just for the record, I used to be the school overseer, so it wasn't easy to counsel people. And I managed to be favored to do that for quite a while because I really worked hard at that. But in any case, the school is full of good things to learn there, and now he knows what stress and modulation is. And you can watch people on TED Talks as a witness if you were there in the school for a while and go, bingo, there's some things they could add to that. But and in all, it's not to be hypercritical, but I just wanted to throw that one in there. They're throwing you off the trail in every way they can because it's not the truth.
That's right.
Great thing.
That's right. They're deceivers. They are deceivers.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tim.
Talk to you later.
Thank you, Tim.
You know, I was just thinking when Joe and I were waking up, and they did um, a warning talk about us. It was on Zoom. Of course, they didn't mention our names. They called it a warning talk. And after the talk, the elder told us, well, we're going to have to take some of your restrictions away, you know, because we were getting into some things that we shouldn't get into. And they said, one of the things we're going to have to, you know, maybe for 6 months. Oh, well, prior to this, Joe and I were wondering, how are we going to get off the ministry school? Because we don't want to be on the ministry school anymore. So this elder tells us, he said, well, just as a restriction for maybe like 6 months, you know, you're not going to be on the ministry school. And we go,
I was celebrating in my mind.
But we were trying to sound like we were so sad because we were chemo at the time. We were
Right.
fading.
That was the
But
best
it
thing
was
I
like, oh man,
that
you
was the
just
best thing
answered our
I
prayer.
ever heard from that organization.
It just made me think of it because, you know, so many things happen when you wake up. And with us, it was like one thing after the other. But I remember that. It was a
Yeah.
relief not having to, you know, I would do substitutes, you know, I was always ready to substitute and help out. But after I woke up, I was like, I can't do this.
So
I don't believe it.
So to all the PMOs who are out there, there is so much anxiety involved in making your exit. There really is. But there is so much relief and gladness for doing it. So muster up the courage, plan well, and develop an exit strategy that you can be glad for. I calculate estimate the gains and the losses, because there will be losses, but there will be gains as well. And I dare say the gains will be will far outweigh the losses, even though it may not seem it at the time. You have your life ahead of you, and the lives of those that you connect with. Because think about this, there's another person or other persons that don't know you as that special person that you are. They don't know you, and they won't know you until you are out.
Hey, Joe and Fran, this is Rick at the Six Screens panel here. We're getting ready for Eric's program, so give you a couple of minutes here, and you can kind of wrap.
We're ready too whenever you are. You say.
Okay, so go ahead, just finish up, take a couple of minutes, and then we'll get Eric on. Okay, good.
Okay, thank you, Rick.
Donna asked a question, or she put it in a question. Marking talk. Well, that's what they're normally called. They're marking talks, but they were going easy on Joe and I because we were so exemplary in the congregation.
Yeah.
So they said, well, it's just a warning talk. But it really was a marking talk.
It was a marking talk, big time.
And our son, he said, oh, I heard you had your marking talk. And I said, well, actually, I said, it's a warning talk. I corrected him. But it was crazy. But we're just so glad to be out and so glad to have you guys as friends. And keep up the good work, like Rick always says. Keep up the good work. We'll see you in 2 weeks. We'll come up with another topic, but we're so glad we had so many people calling in.
Yes, and it's your outside story that counts. Mm-hmm. Your outside story. Make it your outside story.
Let us know if you want any buttons.
Yeah, and contact us too.
Well, thank you, Fran and Joe. Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming on tonight and being on the Six Screens Telenetwork. You guys be safe, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. We're going now to Eric's program, Red Pill by the Watchtower. So we're going to end this program right here. And now we're going to stay with us, though. Don't go anywhere. Stay in our YouTube channel.